Bengaluru Bio to Startup Bio.
Right.
How do you feel that is really exciting something for the startups at least?
Right, yeah. So I think, as Kiran was pointing out in the inaugural sessions, I think Bangalore and this whole sort of biotech sector in the country has come to a certain critical stage where, if you have 1,000 startups around the country, then there is obviously a lot of momentum. Now, to make sure that you actually bring all these people together, the young entrepreneurs, but also the mentors, so that they can have that interaction, I think is important. I think biotechnology, startup and entrepreneurship is very special. It's very different from starting up something in IT or doing something in retail and so on. Where in biotechnology, that interplay between research, validation, and commercialization has to be played out very carefully, and the planning of resources has to be done very carefully, because for one thing, it takes much longer to get the product out, and it's also much more capital intensive. So that's why these sorts of meetings are important, because to introduce a certain realism into the entrepreneur while keeping their enthusiasm high, right? To celebrate them and yet advise them to do the right things.
Just last question.
Sure.
What will be your message for the student entrepreneurs in biotech field?
Sure.
Yeah.
So about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I was the president of ABLE, and BIRAC was just starting then. And so we used to run a program called BEST, which was for students who had ideas for entrepreneurship in biotechnology. And we would get about 100, 120 entries from different student groups around the country. And then we would select 20 and bring them to a boot camp and run a boot camp for about 4 days, right? So this is not that different, except now these have actually, gone past just the idea stage into actually becoming entrepreneurs. Whereas there were students who were thinking about entrepreneurship. And so I think, this ecosystem is developing very nicely. First you have, encouraging students to think about entrepreneurship. Then you have entrepreneurs being mentored to think about how to scale or how to succeed. And then finally, you have programs like Bio Invest, where you bring in investors to think about scaling biotech companies. So that whole ecosystem is coming together. I think for students, there has never been a better time to think about entrepreneurship than now, because there is that ecosystem is in place.